So growing up, I never liked eyeliner pencils. I didn't understand how to use them, or rather how to use them to flatter my eye shape. I always felt like they looked messy, they would smudge since I had like a smaller eyelid space, or they just didn't last. But now that I finally understand how to use pencil eyeliner in my makeup routine, it's been a game changer in giving me a soft, diffused wing and a way to make it look like I have a fuller, thicker lashes. And every once in a while, we see multiple brands come out with very similar products in a very short period of time. For instance, last year we saw a surge in lip stain pens, skin tints, and talc-free powders. And recently I've seen so many gel eyeliner pencils pop up, so I spent the last month testing out all of the brand new gel eyeliner pencils at every price range to find the best one. In this video, we're going to be talking about the brand new eyeliner pencils from Essence, Maybelline, NYX, Fenty, and Urban Decay. And for each one, I'm covering the prices, the shade range, claims, and I'm taking you guys along for a wear test of each one. And I also decided to test some of them side by side, which you guys will see later. And at the very end, I'll share with you guys which one I think will be the best for you and which one wins as my overall pick. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, then welcome. My name is Christina, and today we are going to be doing another showdown video. These have been a lot of fun for me to do. I feel like they are very time consuming, but they definitely give us the best results and the best reviews in my opinion. So again, the reason why I decided to do this video is because I saw an influx, first of all, of gel pencil eyeliners, and I just never really liked pencil eyeliners, and I think it's really interesting the way that it's completely changed or shifted for me within my routine, because now they are like a staple in my routine. And just a preface for you guys, my favorite eyeliner pencils, my go-tos, are going to be the Can Make Creamy Touch eyeliner. That one's incredible as an eyeliner in the tightline and the wing, but specifically in the tightline, it lasts all day. And then the Makeup by Mario pencil eyeliner, just the perfect brown shade. It is one of my favorites when it comes to a wing liner. It's nice and diffused, it's nice and creamy, and it does have that brush tip on the other end that's super usable. It does have really nice longevity in the tightline as well, but I think that this one really shines as a wing liner. So those are definitely my go-tos if you guys are curious and you kind of need like a baseline. So if you guys are curious to see which one fits into my makeup routine the most and which one is the most universal, then let's get started. So like I said, we're testing all price ranges here, and I am going to be showing you guys clips of the wear tests and everything that I've done for all of these. So hopefully you guys find those helpful. And I want to start from the most inexpensive to the most expensive. So that means we're starting with the Essence Satin Blend Gel Eyeliner. I have this one in the shade Cocoa number 2, and this is $4.99 for 0.007 ounces. As far as the shade range goes, this has 6 shades, and they're all some sort of like black brown tone. So the claims of this one is that it's a highly pigmented eyeliner with a creamy gel-like texture. It is double-ended with a built-in smudger on the bottom half, and it's supposed to be a waterproof formula for long-lasting wear. So firstly, I purchased mine at Ulta, and this one had like some tape on the cap here. So when I had opened it, it was fresh and brand new. However, when I opened it, it came broken. The eyeliner stick completely fell out. It's disconnected somewhere towards the end right here, which is a shame, but it doesn't seem to really affect the efficacy or the creaminess of the pencil. I thought that it would be fine to use anyways. Now, in terms of the actual performance of the pencil, it is extremely creamy when you apply it. It is definitely the most creamy of the entire bunch. I can say that with certainty. I would say it's the most reminiscent to a potted gel eyeliner. I find that those are incredibly creamy. This one is as well. Talking now about the little smudger, I don't like how fat the sponge tip is. It kind of tapers on the end, but it doesn't taper enough in my opinion. It gives me less control, and I had to switch over to an angled eyeliner brush in order to do my winged eyeliner. Now for me, what I really like my gel pencils to do is to give me a really nice, precise wing, and I like something that I can use as my tightline eyeliner. those are my requirements, and that's pretty much how I tested all of these. I feel like this smudge tip would be really, really great if you were going in and trying to smudge it on the entire upper lash line. If you were using it in that way, I think that it would be wonderful for that. It's not too stiff. You get a lot of smudging with it, I guess, but for my use, since I'm trying to get a little bit more precision, it just didn't really do it for me. I would say that this color is just generally lighter in nature when it comes to browns, but it also blends away the intensity when you're creating the wing. Because it's so creamy, you really can like diffuse it with whatever you use, whether it's a brush or the smudger, but keep in mind that it does kind of get in the way of the intensity of the pigmentation of the eyeliner. So you'll definitely have to like build that up if you want something that looks really, really intense. And also, because it's so creamy, I feel like I've used a lot of this already. Now, granted, there was one time when I went to go use this and the tip just like snapped off. I can't remember why. I think I went to use it and maybe I had pressed a little too hard and it just like snapped the tip off. But even so, I feel like this one, I have used the most product. Even though I haven't used this more times than the other ones, I've used a lot of this. So while this is more inexpensive, I do think that you'll probably go through this quite quickly if you're using it like pretty often. Okay, let's talk about the longevity and talk about the wear test. So I did use this for my wing, like I said, and I also used this in my tightline. I loved how creamy it was in my tightline, but unfortunately, because of that, it didn't really seem to set down. It didn't last in my tightline, and actually it started to kind of like crease and smudge into the crevices of my eye. So like when I was smiling, when I was laughing throughout the day, it kind of would transfer right in that like corner right there, and it started to create some eyeliner leakage. I don't know. I don't think that's the right word, but it doesn't happen to me often and I don't run into it often at all. So it just like slips my mind what it's called, but you guys will see in the footage right here what I am talking about. It does transfer from my tight line to the middle and onto my waterline. I did wear this on a filming day, and sometimes if my eyeliner from my tight line transfers to my waterline, it's very noticeable, and that did happen with this one, unfortunately. I do think that it did better as a wing than it did for the tight line, but even then, at the end of the day, while it was still there, it never truly set down. I was able to kind of like take my finger and smudge away the rest of the eyeliner at the end of the day. Now, granted, I am very oily. You guys know that. I tend to produce oils all over my face and on my eyelids. Take that with a grain of salt. If you are on the drier side or you just don't produce as many oils, you may not have the same experience that I did. Now we're going to move on to the Maybelline Sculpting Stick 2-in-1 eyeliner. I purchased this one in number 15 Smooth Espresso, and by the way, I bought all browns just to like keep it the same, and typically I go for a brown eyeliner over black eyeliner or any other color. It's just the one that I gravitate towards the most, so for continuity I just bought all browns. So this eyeliner retails for $10.99 for 0.002 ounces. It is going to be one of the smaller shade ranges, so you have 4 earth toned shades that they say complement your skin tone and your eye color, and like I said, I bought the shade Smooth Espresso. So the claims of this one says that it is a dual-ended liner pencil and brush for precise tightlining and easy eye contouring with a 1.5 millimeter blade tip. It allows for easy control without tugging or pulling, and it has up to 24 hours of wear. It's supposed to be budge resistant, sweat resistant, and fade resistant. Now, the key that they had within the details of this product was soft sculpting. I just want to reiterate that. I think that has to do with how the colors kind of come off as well as the intensity of this. The first thing I want to note is I love the brush on the other side. I feel like this is comparable to a regular angled eyeliner brush. It is the perfect length and it's the perfect density for control when I'm making a wing. I think that sometimes with eyeliner brushes, they can either be too long of a bristle to where you kind of lose control as you're getting to the tip of your wing, or they can be too short to where they just feel a little pokey on the eyes. not this one. This one is really perfect. I was very impressed by that. I really like the width of the eyeliner pencil. It feels like it's a little bit skinnier than the Urban Decay one and the NYX ones that we're going to talk about. It does have that slant tip right here, and it's going to be the first one of the bunch that we're talking about that has that. I was kind of wondering how it would fare once the tip kind of dulled down, but I do think because this is going to be a skinnier eyeliner pencil but still have that like slant right there, it allows for the pencil to kind of keep that precision, which is really nice. The formula is very creamy, not as creamy as the Essence one, but it's creamy enough to where it still feels like it's a gel eyeliner. If you guys have experience with gel eyeliners, you know that they're meant to be very, very creamy and almost fluid-like without being an actual liquid. This one still, I would definitely categorize as a gel eyeliner. And it has a lot of pigmentation even when it's blended out. I can still build this one up if I lose a little bit of that pigmentation. However, I don't really find it too necessary to do so. If anything, I would just kind of deepen up closer to the eye, but the actual like wing usually is pigmented enough for me. While it's very creamy, I do find that this one in particular drags on my left eye, which brings us to the asymmetrical look of my eyes. So my eyes are not even. I don't think anyone's are perfectly like symmetrical anyways, but the fold of my left eye, I learned through doing this video, goes even lower than my right eye. And I learned this because almost every one of these eyeliners that we're talking about today sort of like faded more on my left eye, and I was kind of wondering like, why is that? My eye folds over onto where I was drawing the eyeliner. So with all of these, once I discovered that was what was happening, I decided to kind of adjust how I was drawing it so that the eyeliner wasn't interfering with my crease, if that makes sense. A lot of this footage is kind of like a mixture of me not noticing that and then again me noticing and then redoing it. So with that in mind, let's talk about longevity and let's go into the wear test. So this one I found lasted all day. I had an entire day. I went to a studio grand opening for my friend's photography business. Straight after that, I went to a baby shower, which lasted the rest of the night. And this did a very, very good job in staying put. My tightline, it did fade throughout the day, but there were remnants on the tightline. It wasn't completely gone. It wasn't completely faded. So I was okay with that. And even though it faded on my tightline, it didn't really seem to smudge down onto my lower lash line. It kind of just disappeared. Sometimes when it comes to eyeliners, I will opt out of tightlining just because if I know that day I'm going to be out and about, maybe I'm going to be laughing, smiling a ton, and I don't want to risk any smudging, I'll just completely opt out of an eyeliner in my tightline because a lot of the time they will transfer onto my waterline or my lower lash line and it'll cause some smudging there. But I didn't notice that with this one, so that was really impressive. Next up, we have the NYX Epic Inky Stix. This is a mechanical cream gel eyeliner, and not to be confused with the NYX Epic Smoke Liner sticks. Those have like a little brush on the end and they came out a while back. I'm not entirely sure what the difference is, just by the way, but I know that they're not the same product. The price of this one is $13 for 0.003 ounces, and this one has a shade range of 13 shades ranging from blacks, browns, blues, purples, and nudes. And I bought the shade Ember Energy, so another dark brown shade. So the claims on this one says that it's a waterproof cream mechanical gel eyeliner that delivers one swipe fluid color that lasts up to 24 hours. It has a quick dry formula that delivers intense color that's supposed to be smudge resistant and flake proof, and it has a no skip, no drag finish or experience. So again, we are seeing that slanted tip right here, and it is a very skinny pencil, but I do think that the Maybelline one is slightly skinnier than the NYX one in terms of the width. We have a a very obvious slant here, so it makes it really nice and easy to get precision when you're trying to do something like do a wing or more bold graphic eyeliner. Okay, so my experience with this one again is going to be an extremely creamy eyeliner pencil, but this one is like super creamy. I feel like maybe it's almost the same as the Essence one, but this one seems even creamier sometimes because the pigment is so strong. This glides over my troubled area, which is my left eye, like I said. With the Maybelline one, I mentioned that it kind of drags there, so I have to be like very careful. This one glides completely over. It's really nice and very easy to use in terms of that. And it's still very pigmented when you gently blend it out with an angled brush. I do wish that this had some sort of like applicator brush tip type of thing, you know, but it does have this clicky thing, which by the way, it doesn't make an actual click sound, which threw me off. I kind of thought it would be like their clicky gloss sticks, you know, like for your lips, but no, it's just, you just click it up and it goes up. I think in terms of this shade, it is more of an obvious brown than like a black brown color. So on the eyes, it's a very noticeable brown color, which I think is very beautiful. And it gives me a bit more of a natural diffuse look because of that. Also, because this is slightly thicker of a pencil, but it's still angled, it's so nice to actually go into the tight line and apply. I feel like I can actually go in with one swipe and get the entire area without having to go over multiple times. Because with some eyeliner pencils, like the Can Make Creamy Touch eyeliner, which is one of my go-tos for my tight line, I do have to go over it one, maybe two times to get the entire area. But this one, if I angle it just right, I can just do one swipe and be done with it, and it looks incredible. Now let's talk about the longevity and my wear tests. So in this check-in video, surprisingly, it faded a lot on my wing on my left eye. And again, I think that this footage was before I realized that my crease goes down lower, so keep that in mind. So you can see that in the footage. I think that it's pretty noticeable, like you can definitely tell there that that was happening. And in the last check-in of the day, I had smudging from a combination of the mascara that I was wearing that day and an eyeliner. I was testing out a new mascara as well, so that wasn't the best idea, but I did notice that the eyeliner itself, because it was like brown, was smudging as well. And unfortunately, almost all of the wing had gone on my left eye, again with that caveat of placement there. But even so, like before doing this video, I did my winged eyeliner the same, and typically it wouldn't fade as much. So I do still think that there's some merit to that experience there. And almost all of the tightline eyeliner was gone also, which was really surprising because I felt like it stayed on the tightline for a good amount of time, but at the end of the day, it was pretty much all gone. And you'll see here as well, if I took my finger and I smudged the wing, it easily smudged and was still so creamy. I don't know if that's because I am very oily. I have a feeling the reason why is because of the oils that I produce throughout the day. I don't think that this is going to be a universal experience for everyone because it did seem to completely dry down when I first applied it. So I will say I was a bit perplexed by this one. I wasn't sure what to think about it, but like I said, I did do a side-by-side with the Maybelline and the NYX one, which we're going to talk about towards the end. But also, I have worn all of these multiple times, even past the wear test that I have in this video. And I will say that once I made that adjustment of placement, it has lasted a lot better as my wing, but still kind of the same experience with my tightline, unfortunately. Now we're going into more expensive territory, starting with the Fenty Fine Lines Lash Line Enhancing Eyeliner. And I grabbed this one in the shade number 2 in Big Truffle. Such a cute name. So this one retails for $26 for 0.0035 ounces. That's very expensive, but you know, it's on par with Fenty products. So this one has a shade range of 10 shades, with 5 of them being bright liners that are meant for your waterline. And although I did debate purchasing some of the bright liners because they looked so beautiful, I really couldn't choose between the shade Cashew and the shade Vanilla Killa. So what I did was at Ulta, I actually swatched them on my hand, and then when I got home, I compared them to 2 of my favorite waterline brighteners to see if they were any different, and the ones that I'm referring to are my Surat eyeliner and my Sochi eyeliner. When I swatched them, and I'll show you guys here what the eyeliners looked like, come to find out they were almost identical in shade to the ones I was debating on. So Cashew looked very similar to the Surat one, and then Vanilla Killa looked very similar to the Sochi one. After I saw that, I decided that I was going to see how the liner lasted, and then maybe later, if I was really impressed by it, I would purchase it once I finished either the Surat or Sochi one, because you guys know I'm on a journey of like not excessively buying stuff. So now for the claims of this one. It says that it's a long wear and waterproof lash line enhancing eyeliner for tight lining, defining, and waterline brightening for every skin tone. It's supposed to be sweat resistant, humidity resistant, and fade resistant. It's supposed to have rich creamy texture and be smudge proof and transfer proof. So pretty much all the things. It's supposed to do all the things. This is going to be more of your standard eyeliner shape. It doesn't have that angle or anything going on. On the other side, it does have a sponge tip, and I like how pointed this sponge is compared to the Essence one, but also just in general. I still think that a brush would have been better for a wing, which is the way that I typically wear my eyeliners. But if you are someone that is looking to smudge your eyeliners out, I actually feel like this sponge, because it's so pointed, it'll still give you really good precision, especially when you're like smudging out that line and it's not gonna like go everywhere. So right off the bat, I noticed that this one was not as creamy as the Maybelline or the NYX one. It still feels like a gel eyeliner, but I would say that it's kind of riding that line between a gel eyeliner and a pencil eyeliner. I could go either way with this one. And also, it doesn't go on as bold in the tight line. I had to go in with 2 layers of this one just to make sure that it kind of enhanced that lash line and made it look more thick, because without it, it was just a little bit sheer on the tight line. Now let's talk about the longevity. So based on the wear test, I did find that the winged liner looked good, but it looked like it faded on both sides, which was interesting. Most of the time I was seeing more fading on the left side, which is again my trouble eye, but I did notice some pretty even fading on both sides here. And it pretty much faded and had gone in my tight line by the end of the day. It performed very similarly in the tight line to the NYX one, from what I could tell. That was a little disappointing. I was hoping that this would last better in my tight line. I do love the concept. I love that they came out with a range of brightening eyeliners, because I feel like a lot of brightening eyeliners at Sephora or Ulta really are kind of the same like cream color, whereas they had more wearable shades for more skin tones, which I thought was very impressive. And in general, I like the shade range. I like that they had a couple of different browns. They had a black, they had kind of like a rich terracotta shade, just things that I normally gravitate towards. Last but not least, we have the Urban Decay 24/7 Liquid Stick Gel Eyeliner. So this one retails for $26 for 0.004 ounces. So it's the same price as the Fenty one, but it has slightly more product. But is it noticeable? Hard to say. As far as the shade range goes, this one has 9 shades, and I bought the shade Brown Noise. The claims for this one says that it's an eyeliner that offers liquid rich precision in a retractable dual-ended design with a slanted tip, fluffy blending brush, and up to 24 hours of wear. It's supposed to be waterproof, smudge proof, and transfer proof, and it has high pigment color in one single stroke. It says it's perfect for bold lines, smoky effects, or graphic artistry. This one, like I mentioned, does have a brush tip, but this one is interesting because it's not as angled, like slanted as the Maybelline one. This one kind of like fans out in a way, which might be kind of nice if you're doing more graphic liner, like if you need something that's not such a sharp point and something that you can kind of curve around and stuff. It seems like it would be great for that. However, for my very boring standard way of wearing eyeliner as just a wing, I found that it kind of, what's the word? It kind of like not dragged, but it just didn't give me as sharp of a line. And like I said, I feel like angled eyeliner brushes have to be the perfect length and density. While I do think that this is a great length, I don't feel like it's dense enough to give me enough precision. So again, like I mentioned, I need something that'll give me that sharp point. That doesn't go without saying that this may serve you better if you're trying to cover more area, if you're trying to do, again, more of like a curvy shape or something, or alternatively, if you want to use this as a base for eyeshadow, you can probably brush this out fairly easily with this brush. And it does have that slanted tip, again, similarly to the Maybelline one and the NYX one. It does seem quite skinny, and I actually feel like it might be in between the Maybelline and the NYX one in terms of the width of it. All of these are retractable, by the way, except for the next one that you have to click up. As far as application goes, so tightline eyeliner for me transferred to my waterline by the time I finished doing my makeup. I did my eye makeup and then I finished all my makeup, and I noticed in my waterline I had remnants of eyeliner already, which is not a good sign. I need something that is not going to transfer that quickly. Even though this is nice and creamy and bold, it does come with that caveat that it's probably not going to stay that well in the tight line. The wing was creamy and easy to shape, especially with the brush on the other end. Like I said, because the eyeliner was so creamy, I feel like even though the brush isn't my favorite, it kind of made it easy to work with anyways, because the formula of this is so easy to work with. I definitely think that this one is going to be more geared towards someone that's going to use it on their actual eyelid and not like waterline or tightline. So now for the longevity and the wear test. So although this did have some transfer into my waterline by the time I finished my makeup, it did still stay in the tight line, even though I was seeing some transfer going on. So I guess there was enough pigmentation to where it could stay in the tight line, but also transfer, if that makes sense. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but this was kind of doing that for me. It looked like it slightly faded on the left wing. Like I mentioned, this was before I realized I had to kind of shape it differently. Okay, the second day of wear, I was out and about and I went thrifting with my best friend, and I noticed that this one smudged on my bottom lash line. But it also could have been the mascara, because again, around the same time I was testing a new mascara, but I'm not entirely sure. I mean, that day it was rainy, it was muggy, it was humid, so not a great day to be testing out makeup, or maybe a great day to be testing out makeup. But either way, at the end of the day, the wing basically faded, especially on the right eye, which was interesting because I was seeing most of the fading on the left side, but I did see a lot of fading on the right side. I had laid down when I got home. I laid down on the couch on my right side, you know, so my makeup in general was already faded on that side, and the wing pretty much completely was gone. So that was a disappointment. And also this one, I was able to smudge away the rest of the wing with my finger, so you guys can see that as well. So safe to say, almost every one of these by the end of the day kind of reverted back to being ultra creamy because of my oils. But I will say that all of them seemed to set down on my eyes like when I first applied them. Very interesting how that works, huh? So now I really quickly want to talk about the side-by-side wear test that I did with some of these. So I decided to do a wear test between the Maybelline and the NYX one. Some pros and cons that I will just kind of talk about while you guys look at footage here. So the Maybelline, it's great because it has a brush that's even thinner than the NYX one. And this one has the most similar feel to the Can Make Creamy Touch eyeliner, the very popular one on TikTok. It's a Japanese brand. Because of how thin it is and how pigmented it is, it's very reminiscent to that one to me, and a little bit more comfortable going on in the tight line because it does have that slant rather than a point like the Can Make has. Sometimes the point can feel a little bit, I don't know how to, like a little bit too pointy, almost like needle-like, but not in a painful way, just like kind of an uncomfortable way, if that makes sense. And on the flip side of that, for the NYX pros, this one is more creamy and intense than the Maybelline one going on, but you do risk buffing this fades away in terms of pigmentation when you're winging it out. The Maybelline doesn't do it that much because it kind of stays put a little bit better, but you can always go over it a little bit more with the NYX one and it can pretty much look the same. Also, another pro is there's more product in the NYX pencil and it's more comfortable to apply in the tightline because it is a little bit thicker. While the Maybelline one feels better than the Can Make one, the NYX one feels better than the Maybelline one. But one con with the NYX one is that you can't wind it down like I said, so that kind of stinks. So the first check-in for this wear test, I found that both eyeliners were looking pretty much the same as when I first applied them. They had no smudging on them. The tight lines, however, the NYX one lasted a little bit longer than the Maybelline one this day, but both were still there when I had checked. It was very interesting because I thought the Maybelline would outperform the NYX one in terms of the tight line, but they pretty much looked the same. And then I also did a side-by-side comparison of the Fenty and the Urban Decay one. A pro of the Urban Decay one is it far outlasts the Fenty one in the tight line for sure. But oddly enough, an Urban Decay con is that this one just doesn't really last as a wing, which is really weird. It fades on the left eye, but it also kind of disappeared on the right eye from light touching, like I mentioned. It doesn't really smudge per se, it just kind of like fades away, like it just kind of disappears, which is better in my opinion than smudging all over the eye. And a Fenty pro that I noticed with this is that it's great as a wing because it's pigmented and it stays in place, but a con is that it just doesn't stay in the tight line at all. Like it has no longevity in the tight line. It's kind of the same as the Essence one in terms of tight line wear. So that's the nitty gritty of all of them. So let's talk overall thoughts now. All of these do have their strengths, as you guys can see, but not a single one was absolutely perfect in my opinion. I do think that they all kind of shine in their own way. So I'm going to quickly share with you guys who I think each one is going to be for. So firstly, if you're looking for a good tight liner, go with the Urban Decay or the Maybelline one. I think those are definitely going to be your best bet. But if you want something easy to smoke out for a base, like I said, for eyeshadow or something, I think that the NYX and the Essence one would definitely do the best because of how creamy and almost like thick gel they are. I feel like these would go the furthest. If you're looking for precision, like I typically do, I would go for the Maybelline or the Fenty because I do find that those are the easiest ones for me to control. And if you want a bright liner option, obviously go with Fenty because they have some great skin tone shades, but again, that does come with a caveat. I don't know how long it's going to last on the waterline. And lastly, if you want fun, bold colors and something that you can be really like creative with, you can go with either the NYX one or the Urban Decay. Now, for my overall use and the one that fits into my makeup routine the best, the winner is going to be the Maybelline Sculpting Stick. I love, again, the length and density of this brush. It really won me over. I love how creamy the actual eyeliner is. It's very easy to work with, and how tiny the tip is. That is such a big thing for someone like me who has a smaller eyelid space, and I typically go in with a very small wing anyways. I find that the brown is the perfect color and it's really easy to diffuse, or you can kind of keep it more bold. And I do think that it lasted the longest for my wing specifically, which is my top priority when it comes to an eyeliner, because while I do love a good tight lining eyeliner, my standards for that is so high that it's hard for really any eyeliner to kind of defeat the Can Make Creamy Touch eyeliner. And overall, I think that this stayed pretty well in the tight line regardless. It's not my favorite, like I said, but it still did the job fairly well. And that, my friends, is the end of our creamy gel eyeliner pencil showdown. I hope that you guys found this helpful. I know that there has been an influx, like I said, of these eyeliners coming out, and I do not think that you need every single one of them, but I hope that with this video it helped you pick at least one of them. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think, what you typically look for in an eyeliner pencil. And until next time, I'm gonna leave a video right here that YouTube actually thinks you're gonna be interested in based on what you've been watching. And until next time, you guys, please take care of yourselves, and I will see you very soon. Bye.